chair of the Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee, which is a town committee. It's about
Right.
18 months old, not on the Coastal Conservancy.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so Jen Carberg, which one is that?
She's in both, I think. So she's a member of the Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee and several other coastal resilience kind of things.
I see. Okay, yeah, it's hard to keep track with.
Well, Coastal Conservancy is a lobby group, and that's Deanne's effort.
Oh, okay, yeah, that one I definitely know. Well, I know both of them, but I was, yeah, right. Hi, Phil.
Hi.
And Bill. Hi, Bill. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We need one more to get a quorum.
Oh, Mary's not in there.
Howdy.
Bill Greeter's on.
Where's he? Hey, Bill?
Hi there. How are you?
Okay, good.
So we've got 4, and here's, there we go. There's Nat.
Hey, Nat.
Hey, Alan. Hey. There we go. Am I on the right thing? There we go.
Yep. I see the palm of your hand.
No, I'm just doing I'm gonna mute myself for just a second. I just wanted to get on here real quick.
Right.
And
Ed?
Alan, after call to order, you might ask people to do a roll call. We are recording at the moment.
Right. Yeah, I see the thing. Okay. Good. I show 3:59
You
and
give it another minute.
42 seconds.
Let Nat get back into the camera.
Okay, I'm showing it's 4 o'clock, and let's see, we have a quorum. Plus, let's see if somebody else shows up here. Okay, I'll call the meeting of the Roads and Right-of-Way Committee to order for January 19th. I declare we have a quorum present, and let me go down the, let me call the roll. Answer here. Lee?
I hear.
Phil?
Here.
Nat?
Hi, here.
Ed?
Here.
And is there anyone I'm missing?
I think Rick Atherton may be on the line.
Yeah, I'm on, Alan. Can
Oh,
you hear
hi,
me,
Rick.
Alan?
Yeah, right, good.
You see me?
Yes, I do. Yeah, there you
Well,
go.
that's good to hear. Anyway, I'm here.
Good, okay.
And Alan, can I say one thing right now? I have to jump at 4:25.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got your email. So yeah, I anticipated maybe a short meeting because we'll see. So I declare we have a quorum present. The chairman is here, and public comment. Mary, do you want to come in under public comment?
If I may, thank you, Alan. This is Mary Longacre, and I'm appearing in my role as chair of the Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee. And I've sent Alan some information, if he would be kind enough to send that out. That is a link to the town's webpage about the current project for the Coastal Resilience Plan, and also a registration link for January 28th event, which is a public participation event for the development of the Coastal Resilience Plan. That said, as I was looking at your agenda for today.
Mary, this is
yes,
Lee.
Lee.
Yo, Mary, January 28th, could we be a little bit more explicit? What time?
5:30 p.m. via Zoom. And Alan has that link if you'll send that to Lee, Alan.
Right.
And
I'll
everyone.
send that out.
Yeah. So the town is undertaking to develop a coastal resilience plan. And looking at your agenda for today's meeting, I was reminded that some of your goals would probably overlap with areas that the coastal resilience plan will be addressing. So I wanted to come in today just to make sure that you were fully aware of the plan, to offer those links for further information on the plan, and to solicit any feedback about concerns that you might have regarding roads and right of way that we should be factoring into the process of developing the plan. I'm happy to take questions about that. I'm assuming that you all have some small familiarity with it, some more than others, but if you want to spiel, I'll be happy to do that, but I don't need to waste your time if you're already aware.
So I've got one. Alan, is there anybody else that wants to speak?
No, go ahead, Lee. I do have a question.
Mary, it's a fairly simple one. As the bluff erodes, vehicular access to the beach may disappear because the roads down get chopped off or become unduly steep. And you know, there are lots of ways to consider dealing with that. One is to stop the erosion. Canute had a little trouble with that. And then the other is to ask DPW to repair these ways from time to time.
That's certainly true. I think there are probably other ways to deal with it. I don't want to speak for something directly in your purview, but it's definitely a concern that should be incorporated into the coastal resilience plan. Is, does the town want to maintain beach driving access, and how to accomplish that, or whether that is too expensive to contemplate or would have other impacts that would be positive or negative. And that's really why I'm here today, is to solicit that kind of input. It's most effective if you can come to one of the public events, but certainly as a committee, I wanted to reach out and make that connection.
So Mary, what is is there a plan or an overall goal that the coastal resiliency, what's the official name of the committee?
Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee.
Right, CRAC.
Yeah. And the goal of the plan is to draw on the heritage of Nantucket to create a community-supported roadmap for implementation of a series of flood control and adaptation approaches in the face of sea level rise and climate change. Trying to mitigate storm surge, just general sea level rise, flooding. Those are the focuses of the plan, and it's for the entire county, so not exclusive to the island of Nantucket. It also should address Muskeget and Tuckernuck.
Right. And you're looking at such things as the various salt marshes around the island.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's incredible how many salt marshes. I keep finding new ones, and I thought I knew them all.
Well, and that's one of the potential impacts of climate change, is the expansion of salt marshes
Exactly.
as nature discovers that it has the opportunity to flood more areas.
Yeah, as long as you have the right combination of fresh water and salt water and wave action and all that sort of thing. Okay, anyone? Yes, Rick?
Yeah, just to sort of, Mary's been doing I think, frankly, a great job as chair. So, but as to what their sort of goal might be, Alan, they've got a $500,000 consulting contract to develop a plan. And Mary, I'm just sort of jumping in. And Alan, I think if they are out talking to stakeholders, and and the planning, the guy leading the planning group is very adept at that, and he might, if the members of our committee don't hear it in other ways or have other opportunities, I'm not sure, but I expect he'd be happy to spend half an hour with a meeting. But if you have specific questions, they're very good at responding. So.
Right.
And that's exactly the case, Rick, that we actually have a 5 p.m. meeting today with the Harbor and Shellfish Advisory Board. And so I volunteered to appear here and perhaps late there if necessary. But the transportation network is an integral part of what the Coastal Resilience Plan needs to address. Right. As the water rises or as flooding occurs more frequently, we risk having roads cut off. And when I put 2 and 2 together, I was reminded of your meeting. I thought, I really ought to reach out.
I know the conservation groups are working very closely with this, both the foundation and the land bank, and I believe the other ones as well. Okay, any other questions for Mary about the Coastal Resistance Action Committee? Did I get it right?
Coastal Resilience
resiliency.
Advisory Committee.
Not resistance.
Advisory. Okay,
So again, Alan, if you would send out those two links, one to the project website and the other to the registration for the event on January 28th at 5:30. We definitely want the public to participate, and we appreciate, passing that information on to anybody who's interested.
gotcha. Okay, I will definitely, at the end of the meeting, I'll pass that out to the members of the Roads and Right-of-Way Committee. So,
All right, I will turn off my video, but hang out here in case there are items on the agenda that I find interesting, which
Great.
I almost always do in your meetings. So thank
oh,
you.
good, good. It's a pretty interesting work, I think, that we do. So, good. All right, let me go to number 2 on our agenda, approval of minutes from our December meeting, December 15th. Are there any errors, omissions, any corrections to the minutes from December? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved, Rita.
Okay, we have a motion from Bill, second from Ed. Sorry. Okay, all in favor?
Roll call, I'm afraid.
Yeah, roll call. Lee,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
Aye.
Bill, aye. Ed,
Aye.
Rick,
Aye.
is there anyone else on? Oh,
Me.
Nat.
I
So
I trust you. I trust Lee. I'll vote aye. I wasn't there, but I'll vote
Okay.
aye.
Okay, there we go. I just put it on gallery view so I can see who's here. Okay, so
Gotta have it.
those minutes are approved. Downtown sidewalks, the next item on our agenda. There was a meeting back in December with Rob McNeil and a number of other town officials. Art Gasparo was there, and so on. And we walked around on Easy Street, and Rick went over what is going on, what the plan is. The plan is to widen Easy Street. I'm sorry, to widen the sidewalks on Easy Street. They're going to narrow the roadway because the road, it is a one-way road. And as long as they have enough room to get the big trucks and everything going over to the steamship authority. So basically, it's a continuation of the work that they've done on Straight Wharf and on Easy Street and then on South Water Street. Those projects that they completed last year, or yeah, I guess it was last year. So the plan is to go from there to, there's another list of streets. They want to do the vertical, or well, no, vertical isn't the right way. The north-south streets as opposed to the, wait a minute. I've gotten myself turned around here. Anyway, they want to do the streets that are perpendicular to Federal, so on. And they'll be releasing that info, what the plan is, I assume in the fairly near future. Ken, do you have any insight onto that as to what the plan for the sidewalks are?
I do not.
Do not, okay. And yes, Bill?
When you talked about Easy Street and widening the sidewalks, how's that going to work when it gets down to the steamboat?
They definitely want to have the turning lane. So right now, the turning lane is really pretty scrunched up near the intersection, so it's really one lane and so on. They're going to, it'll be wider down there at that end of it. Again, that's on land bank property. We're going to do is move the sidewalk in on the land bank
Okay,
parcel that's there. And the
Yeah.
important thing is to get a truck lane or a lane, because that's where most of the traffic on Easy Street's going, is onto
Yeah.
Steamship.
well,
Is that
thank
gonna,
you for,
is that gonna
Bill,
back
thank,
up? Is that gonna back up behind the Dreamland, so cars coming out of the Dreamland can queue to go west? And still allow right now,
yes.
they interlope into the turning lane for the steamboat. Is that turning lane gonna come back further, so there's a distinction?
Yes. Yeah, that's the plan. They're going to take it back beyond where the building is on the corner there. The steamship did make an offer on that building after the land bank purchased it from Todd Arno, the property that the land bank purchased. We made an introduction to the Steamship Authority. In fact, the former manager of the Steamship Authority was over on island and talked with whoever was with Todd. They couldn't come to terms, but you know,
Well,
well,
he wants what you paid for the others, but that was 2 lots.
yeah, I know.
So
I
there you
know,
go.
I know.
That'll happen at some point. Can I just follow up, Bill? Thank you for asking that exact same question that I was going to ask. So, Alan, just to be clear on what you're talking about,
Mhm.
where you right at Easy Street, where you kind of, the bulkhead part, in that little parking area that jogs in the curbing, the little spot, I consider that the beginning of the quote unquote 2-lane section of Easy Street, I guess we'll call it. It's really 1 3/4 of a lane. Okay. So all we need, when I say we, the public, the travelers, we only need about 3 feet,
Mhm.
and you'll get 2 lanes. It's just not quite wide enough so it's sort of the way South Beach was until it got widened 22 inches. 22 inches made it like it was 5 feet wider. So is that the plan, to move the sidewalk in to keep the parking along there and widen the traveled lanes just a little bit? Is that basically what the plan is, Alan, for that section?
Yes.
That's the only thing that makes any sense, unless we get rid of the parking completely, then you've
Right.
got plenty of room. Depends on what the plan is.
Right. No, the plan is to retain some of the parking there because, again,
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
pretty well used. But the plan is to move the sidewalk in on the land bank property,
Yeah,
and they're going to widen the sidewalk as well. They're going to make it the same width as I don't know, whatever
it's okay. I got you. It needs to be wider anyway.
Yeah.
You can't pass and repass with wheeled suitcases on that
No,
sidewalk.
exactly. And
So-
while we were there was a group, I would say there was a group of probably 12, maybe 13 of us that were there, as I say, representing different
Yeah,
parts of the community. And it was pretty informative. So
yeah.
I did ask about the sidewalk improvement plan. As you know, our committee spent 2 years developing the proposal for the downtown sidewalks, where we went street by street and all that sort of thing. And oh, hi, Leslie, welcome. The plan was that the town was going to set aside money. They they're going to set aside $1 million a year for 5 years to work on the downtown sidewalks. And that project got slowed down a bit with a question about the historic significance of the upper Main Street part and questions from the Historical Commission about the work that was done down on Straight Work. So that project, according to the powers that be, is still in place. They do plan to work on the sidewalks. I didn't have a chance to talk about the missing sidewalks, the proposal that we sent to the select board. I know that the select board received it. I don't know what they've done with it, since they've had it. But those are two different projects: the repair of the downtown sidewalks, and of course, creating the missing sidewalk pieces. So, Rob, there you go. Do you have information on the sidewalk plan? Did you hear the first part of?
Sorry, Alan, I just joined.
Oh, okay.
I was planning to be on time here. I got delayed off another meeting.
Okay, no, that's no problem. The question is the downtown sidewalks. I just reported on the meeting that you held with on Easy Street about the sidewalks on Easy Street and the work that's going on down there. There was a question as to where the turning lane for the steamship was going to begin. And I wasn't totally clear on that. Do you know where approximately that turning lane will start?
Sure. It begins, I'm going to pull it up just so I can speak facts on this. The line as it exists, I believe begins just a little distance after Oak Street.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about potentially pulling it back towards Oak Street if we are able to maintain the level of parking with the final construction of the land bank park.
All right.
So bear with me a moment.
Rob, could you repeat the name of the cross street?
Sure, it's Oak
Sorry,
Street.
what's that?
Yeah, that's the one.
Right at the, that's the one that's that on the side where the Dreamland is.
Mhm.
Runs alongside the Dreamland from South Water Street.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so right now, the lane split is all the way down at the commercial driveway for what's called kidding around. It's really at the end of the land bank park.
All right. That's
It's only about, right now, if I'm estimating, it's probably 50 feet long.
now that's the existing one you're talking about, right?
That's the existing one. Yes.
Yeah.
What we're potentially going to do is, because we're losing a driveway along the land bank park, which has been historically striped with the yellow no parking to protect the driveway. That is going away, and we'll be able to park cars there for the first time. We could extend the lane split a little further back towards Oak Street for probably that same distance that we're gaining. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we were saying in a much less professional manner. Rob.
And the point is
Earlier.
that will that'll cycle traffic through there.
Yeah, it's the right thing.
Faster than the boat traffic at Bill Greeter's dock on F Street.
There you go. Yeah, we only need, Rob, it's similar to South Beach when we widened South Beach, what, 22 inches, made it seem like 5 feet. This just needs like 2 or 3 feet wider and it will be 2 lanes. It works for 2 people that know how to drive smaller cars right now, but it's not quite for miscellaneous. And you got to remember, people take their boats down at Children's and they have to turn left, and it's kind of a, whatever.
So the other thing we're going to do that's, I think, going to help, that's really right now sort of a visual cue is the edge lines, or in this case, it's actually the no parking lines. They're currently painted about a foot into the road from the gutter, which are, it's okay, but generally the visual cue is forcing people to go further away from those than they need to be.
Yeah.
So for this area particularly, the plan is to restripe basically right up against the gutter, the curbstones. So you're going to utilize that much more of the lane than is currently being utilized, which gains you that 6 or 12 inches between vehicles and allows a little bit more flexibility when people are paying attention.
And Rob, the other parts of the other sidewalk pieces, once that section on Easy Street is completed, at the meeting in December, you had mentioned that there was a plan then to go forward with the next set of sidewalks. Is it?
So right now, the plan is to move forward with Easy Street and then Lower Broad.
Right.
When those 2 stretches are completed, the plan would then move to start looking at all of the perpendiculars. So we would go back and do Oak Street. We would do Cambridge Street. We would do, we've done one side of Lower Main Street on the Pacific Club side. So we'd go over to the Chamber of Commerce side. We just had the opportunity to take Salem. So we did Salem after the water main break they had this past fall. So that stretch has already been done. We would have to do the connecting piece of Candle down to Washington Street. That section near the food pantry was not completed. And then there's a stretch of Candle along the opposite the Stop and Shop parking lot. That stretch there. So the plan is not to do any of the private side or the side that abuts the private property until the Harbor Place project occurs. I think they have some ideas on streetscaping within their development project. So we're gonna let that play out and provide feedback to it rather than taking it on ourselves.
And Rob, as you know, we submitted a recommendation to the select board for the missing sidewalk pieces. I think there were four of them. Do you have any idea what the select board has done with that? Have they discussed it?
Bye, Alan.
Oh, okay. See ya. See you, Rick.
Bye-bye.
Eric, thank you.
See you, Rick. Are we talking about when you say missing links, we're talking about the pieces up like Prospect and those kind of areas?
Correct. Yeah. Pleasant. Yeah.
So I don't know specifically if the select board have come out with any kind of discussion on that or the committee's recommendations specifically. I know that I have, as I mentioned to the committee, what I would do when I presented to the capital committee this year, I presented it in sort of sidewalks as a, in sort of a three-pronged approach. One was the sidewalk improvement program that is really focused in the downtown area, starting from the waterfront and going out, as we've talked about and started to implement. The second is in line with the select board's strategic plan,
right,
which focuses on an accessible route from fairgrounds. So that's 2 fairgrounds, 4 fairgrounds, and soon 6 fairgrounds. Basically from that route from fairgrounds to the boats. So that would be, there's a couple different routes.
right.
That's basically focused on Newtown, Fairgrounds, Old South, Sparks, mostly Pleasant and Orange, and looking at multiple ways into town
Right.
and focusing on sidewalk improvements along those routes. So Andrew Vorse and I are continuing the efforts started by the transportation planner in that regard, and working together on improvements to both the in-town bike path, but also the transportation routes, the truck route, and folding in these sidewalk improvements as well. And then obviously the third prong is this committee's suggestions on these missing links that are part of, that are not part of those first 2 plans.
Good. So it sounds like the sidewalks are still on the radar and progressing forward. So that's
Very
good
much.
news. That's good news. Okay, is there anything? Oh, yes, Ed?
So that'll directly tie into one of our priorities on Pleasant Street, correct? It sounds like one of our prioritized sidewalks along that side of Pleasant Street where none exists.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been any movement to reapproaching the family, that one family, the Phelan family that owns that particular link?
The Phelans are quite supportive of having a sidewalk through that area. And I would say that it's going to ultimately depend on the project that's currently under design.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we have concept improvements for Sparks, Pleasant, and Williams.
Perfect.
And then it would be really trying to connect Williams up to 5 Corners.
Right.
So it's happening. It's just happening as I think most people like it, quite slowly.
Well, some, yeah. At least it's underway, and that's the important
Yes.
thing. I mean, with all the work that we put into it. Every time I walk in town, I'm always amazed at the condition of the sidewalks. So good. All right. Is there anything else on that item about the downtown sidewalks? Any other questions or comments?
I have a question, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure this is, if you can believe it, I don't know if we're the right committee to do it. I think there's a sidewalk. Anyway, on the Easy Street sidewalk, that and the sidewalk is going to be redone, as Rob just suggested. I walk that sidewalk quite often to go to Steamship Authority, and at the end of it, where it hits Broad, there is no crosswalk painted on Broad Street. So who do I go
Yes.
to
Well,
talk about that?
So first off, I want to say that next time David doesn't want to drop you off, just give me a call, Leslie, and I'll bring you down there.
Thank you.
So there is a crosswalk at the end of Easy Street. right? There's a
No.
crosswalk.
This crosswalk is up by the juice barn and Stubby's. There is no crosswalk where Easy and
He
Broad.
means,
There's a
means
crosswalk.
she means delineated, Rob.
There's no painted lines on Broad Street. Across
saying
Broad
there's
Street,
no
to take you to
crosswalk.
the other side. Not Easy Street, but to take you to the other
Yes.
side of Broad Street. where-
You're absolutely correct. So one of the suggestions that we're contemplating is it possible I can share my screen?
Give it a
Alan?
try.
Alan, do you mind if I share my screen?
No, B, go ahead,
Okay.
if you can figure out how to do it.
Right, Alan, that's what I was thinking. I could never do that.
Ah,
All right.
there we go.
So can you see this area?
Yeah.
Sure can.
Okay, so right now, this is the crosswalk across Easy Street,
Correct.
taking you down to the steamship.
All right, so it is
But
delineated. kinda.
nothing exists on Broad Street until you get all the way down to South Beach.
Correct. But when you
Okay.
walk on that sidewalk and you turn right to Steamship, that sidewalk disappears.
So there's a sidewalk on
Oh.
on the yacht club side
Correct,
that carries you all the way into the property,
correct.
but the sidewalk on this side ends right here.
Ends. And so that's why I'm
Oh.
thinking to have a
Yeah,
stripe across
And then-
Broad Street.
if you go into the steamship property, there's actually a painted pedestrian way
Hmm.
that takes you from the end of this sidewalk into their property a little bit more. And so what we are talking about doing is providing because this is just no man's land where people cross at will.
Correct.
What we're talking about, we're exploring right now is doing a very wide crosswalk in this general vicinity where there is already no parking, which would be a very large pedestrian crosswalk from sidewalk to sidewalk across Lower Broad.
Good.
So that's ultimately what we're,
But Rob,
yeah.
can you go back to that again?
Share your screen.
So I'm gonna jump 50 because 30 Billy is before the HDC, right?
Who's on the phone?
So,
Yeah.
so if you bang a right towards the steamship,
Okay, thank you.
you come down Easy Street, and you head towards the steamship.
Yep.
All right, so at the end of the yellow line, that's the queuing area for all the cabs that are there.
Yes.
So the sidewalk dumps you in to a queuing area. And so one would think it'd be helpful to have where that puddle is at the end of the sidewalk across the way, so that people have the ability to get over there.
You're talking about putting a crosswalk here?
Yes.
So, yeah, and I will say, Bill, we will definitely take a look. I'm not sure if there's a benefit to doing it one location or the other. I think the challenge is more to do with property, and you might be right in that might be a more preferred location in that I believe that's where the steamship property actually begins.
Right.
So that's something we will be looking into. All I'm saying is that from, as Leslie had pointed out, from way back on the steamship property all the way to South Beach, there is not currently any crosswalk. And right now, people crossing wherever they want to serves to really, really impede traffic through this area in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, my point would be that there's tons and tons of pedestrian traffic via the steamship, fast boat, day trippers, or whatever. And so if they're coming on the slow boat, come down, they cross over to Easy Street, and and they meander across through all the traffic offloading off the boats.
Yeah,
And all of the people scurrying to get to the boat, if they stop and hit the strip for their coffee or whatever, they're on that side of the street. They come across and all of a sudden they're in the middle of the queuing, which then they're walking out in between queued cars into the traffic that's coming towards the boat.
so, I mean, giving people an opportunity to move from the sidewalk that they're generally pushed to, unless they're walking down this edge on their own, moving them or allowing them to move between sidewalks prior to Easy Street would allow people that want to go down Easy Street to get there. It would also allow people that are coming to the steamship to go up a more substantiated sidewalk for a longer run into the property, and allow people to, if they want to cross over, like to go walk along the storefronts, they can do so, and then use the Easy Street crosswalk to do so before they get into the double parked run down there. That's a mess.
Yes. I always feel safer walking on a sidewalk than walking on the left there.
Sure.
I mean,
Against the
I'm not
traffic.
protected, even if it's yellow striped, which it's
Yeah.
not, but
Yep.
I want to be on a different plane than the cars. And I will also
So,
say,
so that
parking
is something that,
steamship, if you're not gonna park at the steamship, there's more parking back towards Main Street than there is up Broad. So I usually park over there somewhere, and then I'm walking down Easy Street to get to the steamship.
yep. So that's something that we are looking into.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary?
I just want to echo the points Leslie and Bill made. You know, I'm most frequently walking along the water side of Easy Street, turning right to go to the steamship. I would not break my pattern to cross Easy Street, you know, towards town, and then cross again, and then come back and retrace my steps on the other side of the street. I just wouldn't do it. I would continue in front of Town Pool's building until the sidewalk ran out, and then I'd probably go through the taxi queue. But if there was a crosswalk there, I would cross onto the sidewalk on the other side. It's a good visual reminder to say, hey, here's the easy path where we want you to go, instead of just dumping you off into the middle of nothing. So I definitely suggest the crosswalk right after Town Pool, old building, rather, and perhaps both is the right answer, on either side of Easy Street crossing Broad.
Good.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the downtown sidewalk issues?
Thank you.
Ed?
It's getting better.
Only, I'm sure this has been taken into account by people that are far more expert than I am, but and I agree, it would be good to have a crosswalk across from Todd Arno's building or Town Pool or whatever. But you also have to take the traffic backup in consideration, because it might back up a lot of traffic down Easy Street for people crossing that crosswalk. I don't know. I mean, if they do it in an organized manner rather than a random manner like they do now.
Well, I think that's the reason for having the crosswalk down where the steamship authority property begins.
Right.
So there'd be one at across from well, as you go from Easy Street on the upper part, and then another one down where steamship authority, where the sidewalk ends after on the right-hand side to get over to the other side.
If they decide to do two of them, yes.
If they decide to do two, right.
But you'd have to also take the traffic considerations, what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's a very important part of it. You know, you
How far
don't,
you get back the people trying to get to the boat up down Easy Street itself.
Yeah.
But maybe with the widening and all this, it'll work itself out. I'm not a traffic pattern expert, so.
Yes, Phil?
Maybe this is not subject for today, but since we have Rob, I just asked the question. This ongoing project of $1 million a year for 5 years on the sidewalks, does this also include further up Main Street where you have on some of those cross streets, trees that pretty much take up the entire sidewalk?
So I would
Boy,
say
that's a-
eventually, Phil, they
That's a
do.
third rail.
A hot button.
There's just, yeah.
I'm the new guy on the meeting, on the committee, so I can ask these questions, Kat.
We're carrying the $1 million as far as it takes us, and trying to hit as many of the priorities as we can.
Right.
So yes, we will get there eventually, but unless it's part of the previously identified plans, I would say there are no specific plans to hit, for instance, I'm going to zoom out of this just to refresh my memory of the street name. But there's a very specific one that I remember in my head. I just can't remember the name of the street. But it's up off of Main.
Pine Street.
Gardner Street's got a tree right past the horse cart museum there. It takes up the whole sidewalk.
Yeah, so like up in the New Dollar Lane and in like the lower Milk Street area, not quite Vestal, but like New Mill and Milk Street, in that general area, I know there's a few of those. There's some massive elms that take up the entirety of the sidewalk. And frankly, you know, there's no realistic solution to restoring the sidewalk in those particular areas until the tree is determined to be taken out. So. But
Okay.
thankfully, you know, that's not in a location that sees, you know, the kind of volumes that we see on parts of Main Street and in town.
Right, exactly. And Nantucket, of course, is a tree city. And we have a very active tree department within the DPW, and they do a fabulous job keeping those trees alive. So anyway, yes, Ed?
This is probably more for that very committee you just mentioned about the trees. But I've had numerous people come to me over the years and say that we have great signs getting off the boat commemorating the fact that we are a tree city, but we have some of the poorest specimens of trees on the planet on that stretch of road that's commemorating us as a tree city.
Sure. And that is definitely a point that is not lost on me.
Right.
And frankly, there's been many people well before my time who have spent countless hours really trying to improve the look of the entrance to the island here along Lower Broad Street. We've had discussions with the Steamship Authority, and I think there's been some initial movement in the direction of the yacht club up on top along the truck alley to better utilize that space. When we did South Beach Street over, the steamship graciously worked with us to get that really vital connection between South Beach and Broad Street on the truck alley side to formalize that. That was kind of a no man's land. And that is, in my opinion, one of the biggest game changers to pedestrian movements in the downtown. So to build on that, you know, there's been a thought of reimagining the truck alley, at least how it interacts with Lower Broad Street on the sidewalk side.
Yeah.
And there's been discussions from everything from a plantable wall that can be maintained and provide some beautification, because right now it really is a struggle to try to plant anything in that sort of a brackish environment. It sees, unfortunately, too much coastal flooding, and we only expect that to be increasing now that Nat's sea level rises here.
Yeah, we got oil. They're growing in oil in the AMP lot, oil and water. So let's get those trees over there. Because it's both.
Okay.
Well, That stretch of Steamship Authority actually looks a lot better than it did when it used to be a skating rink in the winter.
Yeah.
With dirt at each end. So
And-
even though
and
it's
what's-
not wonderful, it's getting that way.
Right.
Rob, before you leave, I had one quick question. I don't know if you noticed or heard, but in front of the Athenaeum, with all the flooding that was going on, a bunch of cobbles along the curb on the Athenaeum side got displaced and were actually stacked up on the sidewalk. And you could stick a baby grand piano in a couple of those holes, and then somebody has recently shoved the cobbles back into the holes. But it seemed,
You're saying India Street or Oak?
right across from the driveway with the post office trucks back into their property.
India Street.
On India.
So you come out onto India,
Okay,
and right along that stretch by the Athenaeum fence.
Okay.
There was the last flooding, there was one or two cars that had to get pulled out of the hole.
Bill, are you talking about the cobbles on the street or the bricks on the sidewalk or both?
Cobbles on the street.
Okay.
Okay, I do want to get on with our agenda. Any more questions on sidewalks, on the sidewalk number 3? All right, let me move on to the chapter 91.
thank you, Alan. I'm gonna take off.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thanks for chiming in.
Yep,
Great.
I have
Thank
another
you,
meeting. to
Rob.
get to. Thanks again, guys. Everyone, great
Thank
to see
you.
you. and Happy New Year.
All right. You too, Rob. Thanks. Okay. Next item, the chapter 91. Again, I don't have anything to report. I still haven't been able to get in touch with, what's his name? Jeff Carlson.
Yeah.
But what the reason I put it on the agenda here is that I wanted to focus more on what our goal as a committee is. You remember at our last meeting, Art Gasparo suggested that rather than a big project, why don't we take a couple of locations, track down the information, the chapter 91 information we're looking for. And a couple of places to start would be, one would be on Washington Street Extension, where the condominium that's right on the corner, where the beach stops and so on. They did do some, they did, I forget what it was, about a year or two ago. And I don't think that they did anything with chapter 91, because it is possible to go around on their deck to get by there, but that never happened. Another one would be on Commercial Street, right next to Mickey Rowland's office. There's a property and the porch sticks out so that you can't even walk by there unless it's low tide. And that would be another one that we could check to see where see if there is a chapter 91 license. And I think based on that, we can start taking a look at other areas. For example, next to the White Elephant, there is a public chapter 91 all the way along from the White Elephant down to the Coast Guard station. And there used to be a sign at the White Elephant saying, the public way and so on. It is pretty narrow there, but nonetheless, it is goes through. At the end of the property, there's a beach where you have to jump down off the bulkhead that's there, down onto the beach. That property just sold for $16 million. And unfortunately, the land bank didn't hear about that, because that would have been a perfect little little in-town beach to have on Easton Street there, but be that as it may, um, that would be a good section to start with, to see what the Chapter 91 licenses are there. We could focus on, say, 2 or 3 or 4 different properties where there ought to be a Chapter 91 license, see what there is, and maybe that could be our entree into the Conservation Commission to help us with this project of determining, getting a record of the Chapter 91 licenses. Yes, Mary?
Alan, I want to encourage you to try reaching out to Vince Murphy rather than Jeff Carlson. I think in the work that we're doing on the coastal resilience plan, we may also be reviewing Chapter 91 licenses. So he may have information that can help so that you don't have to do the work twice.
Oh, now what's the
Vince
name?
Murphy. Vince Murphy is the coastal
Oh,
resilience
Vince.
coordinator.
Yeah.
So recently, or a year or so, hired to look at that kind of information and assist with developing the coastal resilience plan. So hopefully, the needs that you have and the work that may already be underway, we don't have to do it twice.
Excellent.
Definitely reach out to Vince for that.
That's a great suggestion. I'll get a hold of Vince and tell him what our goal is in terms of, discovering that. And great suggestion.
Perfect. I have to jump off, but thank you again for having me here today, and Happy New Year and good evening to all of you.
Great.
Thank you, Mary.
Bye-bye. Okay, so anyway, on Chapter 91, basically that's all I have. I did start a handwritten list of properties. That's where the 2 that I mentioned came from, and there are a couple of other properties that we might want to start. So, all right, well, I'll put it on the agenda for our next meeting. I'll see if I can get Vince Murphy. I know that group has some money and they have some authority and they have some legal connections. So maybe that would be a good place to work. Yes, Lee?
Alan, not to confuse things, but the Conservation Commission at their meetings determine the conditions that should be applied to each application. And of
Correct.
course that the Concom is assisted by Jeff Carlson. And regrettably, what I'm about to say may cause work, but one of us needs to be at the Conservation Commission to raise Chapter 91 issues, or they'll glide over it. And while Vince may attend, it's still Jeff Carlson's bailiwick for Conservation Commission.
Right.
Because if a Chapter 91 license is required, that could be one of their conditions, and they're happy to do that. But I'm not quite sure who it would be within the commission that raises the issue.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry, Leslie? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard a question. All right. Well, all right. Well, I'll follow up definitely. I think the more people we can get involved, the better. Art Gasparo, again, it was his suggestion that rather than a scattershot, that we try and focus on certain properties and build that relationship with the Conservation Commission, and particularly if the CRAC group with Vince Murphy is working on Chapter 91 issues, then that would be another good contact. So, all right, I'll see if I have more to report next month. Yes, Ed?
The Chapter 91 license that you were talking about on that piece of beach off of Easton Street, where the path where you jump down and cross over.
Yes.
That actually was an issue which queered a sale a couple years ago of that very property. The fact that it did not have a Chapter 191 license, and the process to get it would hold up the development of that property for a good length of time.
Oh, really? Oh. Well, that'll be one we definitely want to keep an eye on as that goes through the various permits that it needs.
They was subdivided that property too, for what it's worth.
Oh, my God. Squeezing in. What?
Chapter on an 81L because of the pre-existing. It could be subdivided into 3, but it's being subdivided, I believe, into 2.
Oh, my God.
Where's this at, Ed? Sorry, I lost you there.
You're talking about where Auburn Cottage is on.
Oh,
Easton
Easton Street on the right.
Easton Street, right after the.
That's an old, yeah, that's a,
Has a little cuddy up on the
the
road.
look, the cutty. I know.
They both pre-exist
Yeah,
1955.
those are old houses.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera, so.
Okay, well, that would be a good one to follow up on and
I thought that the land bank got their tap on that one, quite frankly, but maybe they didn't. Oh.
We'd never heard about it until after it showed up as being under agreement.
Wow, it was on the market for like four to 6 years because it was up the first.
Gotta have some tax base left. Take it easy, everyone.
Yeah, I know.
God.
I'm not sure the land bank would have paid 16 million for it, but
We tried to get Mr. Carp to have a private beach for it, but there we go.
yeah, I know. Okay, is there anything else on chapter 91? As I say, I'll put that on the agenda and see what contacts I can make for next month. The outstanding projects list review. I was going over the projects list to see which projects are underway and so on. With regard to the Nantucket Greenway, the trail system at the end of the list there, the land bank has developed a cross-island hike, a coast-to-coast hike from the South Shore at Hoyks Hollow over to Nantucket. And they're working on a map, getting a map of that property or of that trail together. The land bank has also published just recently a West End map that has all the conservation properties and all the trail systems on the west end of the island. And so anyway, that is a work in progress. The rail trail that goes to Surfside, the land bank has cleared that trail. We own the 37 acres that go from basically from Surfside Road out to Surfside at the location where the train station was. And that trail has been recently mowed again. And we're working on trying to find a parking area. The trail across, the rail trail across the South Shore properties is a little iffier, let's put it that way. The Conservation Foundation isn't anxious to put a trail through that, and so anyway, there's discussion on that. The Harbor Walk project, of course, is tied with Chapter 91. I did pull out the maps that Remain Nantucket prepared for us, the engineering parcels and so on. So my hope is that with the advances that we make with Chapter 91, we'll be able to get a real harbor walk. The land bank, as you know, has the Otison property. We have the property before that and other properties along Washington Street, as well as the Hayes property that will be opening up this summer. So the idea is to get a true harbor walk that will go all the way from the Coast Guard station around town. We haven't figured out how to get by the yacht club yet. I think you have to go out on the sidewalk and go around for that one. But to be able to get basically from Brant Point out to the Rotary on a harbor walk. it is a long-range project, but I think, having it on our list here, we keep chipping away little by little for it. Other questions from the commission about the projects, any of those projects on the projects list? Yes, Ken? Oh, you're,
Ken, you're muted. No,
Yeah,
you're not.
okay. Two things. Number one, at the county commissioners meeting next Wednesday, the agreement with respect to the provision of the parking area out at Hoyks Hollow is going to be put forward as a license from the town to the land bank in order to be able to have that be the end point or the start point of that particular trail. And then I have something to report to Mr. Greeter and to Leslie. I just, you may not believe this, but sometime before this summer, the Never Move boat on Washington Avenue will be moved.
Oh,
And
is this due to coastal flooding?
right?
Is this due
No.
to coastal flooding?
I have spent a significant amount of time since the survey was done of the town's right of way along Washington Avenue. And I've sent out at least 11 or 12 certified letters to the people whose property encroach upon the town's right of way. And I'm really happy to report that the first 4 responses that I've received back, the people have been very, very cooperative in understanding what we're doing. And we will eventually get all of the town's right of way back so that Washington Avenue all the way down to E Street will be appropriately not have any encroachments on the town's portion.
That's great.
That is really important because of the fact that until that's done, we can't go back to the to addressing the issue of where parking will be recommended to the select board for Washington Avenue. I'm hoping to have all of that cleared up before the summer, but until that is cleared up, we won't be able to go back to Art Casparo to in fact determine where the recommendation will be relative to parking on Washington Avenue, which side of the street and where it should be. But I spent the better part of the 2 weeks between Christmas and New Year's going through all of the details of that. And so I know more, and I've been out to Washington Avenue more times than I ever care to be out there. Again, I'm sorry, Bill and Leslie, but we're really making really good progress this time.
Well, that's great to hear, because we know that this coming season, when the restaurants come back in for permitting, a bunch of folks have done exactly what Amy Baxter said to do, and that is quantify all of the issues that were the result of Millie's being Nantucket's answer to COVID dining. And traffic and parking, enforcement of existing laws, a whole bunch of things are going to be brought forward in probably multiple letters and whatever. So it's great that the town is making some progress there, although I don't know how it'll impact this coming summer, but it's.
Ken, on your first item, could you repeat? County Commission meeting next week will be approving parking where?
The granting of a license to the land bank relative to the parking lot out at the Sankaty Beach Club.
Sankaty Beach Club at Hoyks Hollow Road.
That's correct.
Okay, so it'll be a license to land bank.
That is correct.
Okay, got it.
that's part of the Cross Island Trail, or the Coast to Coast Trail.
Coast to Coast Trail, right, yeah.
Coast to Coast Trail. Okay. Phil?
Regarding the 5 missing sidewalks that we've referred to the select board, what is the next step for them? I mean, do they have the budget to fund that, or what, in terms of an action plan, where does that go?
Oops.
Phil, I've got a little bit of insight and I'm going to offer it up for people to correct. Rob McNeil said that he offered up a preliminary view of the project to the Capital Program Committee, the CPC. I think it's either Capital Program or Capital Projects. What it'll take is our land use group, plus the planning and land use group, to come up with a specific proposal for review and approval. That would go to CPC and from CPC to the select board. I'm presuming that with all deliberate speed, we're still talking 2 years. Alan, what do you think of my assessment?
Yeah, I would agree with, you know, yeah, it is going to take a while. But the wheels are turning. I guess that's the best way to put it.
I mean, can I just
Now,
say something? You know, Phil, I like the way you think. I can tell you're good. You're going to be a good member on this group. But the sidewalk stuff, you know, we've had a lot of conversation today about this. We've gotten so much done in the past few years when we never did anything for years. Like, and Alan knows this as much as anybody does. So it's so hard to get something done. It's brutal, especially today. So I think Rob, and you saw what he's like with his you know, the ability to sort of vision things. He's done a really good job with this, and it's tough to get things fixed per se, because sometimes fixing is actually not what people want, especially that upper Main Street stuff and all the controversy up there. And he did step in it a little bit with that. Stepped in it a little bit with South Beach Street, but that ended up coming out exactly the way it should have been from the beginning.
right.
I don't know. You mentioned that 1 million thing, Alan. I don't have the answer to that. I'm not on Capital right anymore, but I do believe that is automatic every year. The 1 million that Bobby DeCosta pushed back in the day. I think I'm not sure if it's every year, but I think it is.
It is. It was.
It is, correct?
It was. I think.
Isn't that appropriated every year now and just goes into the fund regardless of how much they use? I believe
That was
so.
my understanding. That was supposed to be a budget item that goes straight.
Yeah.
I think it is.
That it's my understanding for at least 5 years.
5
For
years.
5
It's not
Oh.
every year, but at least
Okay.
for the next 4.
All right.
Million.
And then,
Okay.
at one time, the finance committee was not interested in moving forward because they hadn't spent any of it. So
Well,
I think 1
yeah.
million 1 million a year for 5 years is where it stands.
Well, what was done on Straight Wharf, you know, by Toby's and up to the 505 and 10 is.
I think that was year 1.
I look at that and I can't even believe it got done. You know what I mean? Like, we've done a lot. It's just there's so much more to do. He didn't even bring up Broad Street itself. Broad Street's got some big, gigantic plan that I personally had a few issues with. But the most important thing to know is it's going to be a constantly getting fixed, a little at a time. There's going to be things done. The way that the brick crosswalks are getting done now with the curbing jammed into the bricks so they don't move is a new, I don't want to say new, but a way that was never done before, other than those slab ones over by Zero Main area. And so there's a lot of good things getting done. It's just very slow. There's not a lot of people that do this kind of work, you know, so it's progress, but it's slow. So
And I
just wanted to say that.
And I think,
Alan, I want to add 2 things to my
Wait.
comment to Phil. The good news is that our letter detailing 4 projects that should be moved forward picked projects for which there are existing plans.
Right.
So the town does not need to go through the planning process. They're there. The
Mhm.
bad news, of course, is that the plans were developed by our former transportation planner, and the town is either having trouble or being slow in replacing Mike Burns.
Okay.
I can't answer all that.
Yeah,
on this
no,
meeting.
Leslie's been patiently waiting here. Leslie?
Well, I want to get back to Ken Bogran for a minute here and make sure I understand what he told us about Washington Ave and Nantucket. Ken, my question, as I understand it, you've sent out 11 to 12 letters to property owners whose property was encroached on the verified town road plat, right?
Correct.
And you've heard 4 positive responses.
Well, I haven't heard back from all of them yet, but all the ones that I've gotten back from have been positive. And so what happens is that when the 15 days are up, I will try and reach some of them by telephone. But what's happened is that because they're in different parts of the country and don't get their mail, they get back slowly. But the ones that were the really most egregious ones are the ones that I've heard back from. So I'm really very comforted by that.
And are most of the solutions landscaping solutions other than SS Never Sale?
Yeah, most of them are landscaping, but there's only one major landscaping one where unfortunately they have put a lot of big landscaping into the town's right of way. Most of the other ones are down towards D and E Street. You have sort of a fence that's there. You have hedges and stuff like that. So on the corner of D and Washington, just if you're coming out from Millie's on the right-hand side, that particular property has a lot of hedge problem that is really almost both on Washington and on D Street. Their hedge is completely in the town's right away.
Right.
So that's going to be they're not going to be very happy about that. But that's really the one that really has the most problem with respect to, except the one across from where SS Never Sale is. That's the one that has a lot of new, in the last 10 years, major planting with tall bushes and stuff in the street.
So then you said that we cannot approach the town rights away. We cannot approach the traffic safety committee with a suggestion for parking, no parking until these encroachments are resolved.
Yeah, well, the point is that's what Art told me. He wants to have a resolution with respect to what can be done, what we've gotten cleared up and stuff like that. At that point in time, they can then take a look at making a recommendation. And we need to have you and Bill come forward with a recommendation that you agree to, not one that you talk to me about and then change your mind at when I'm in front of Art. Because that really destroyed all of our, it created a major problem because it destroyed our ability to move forward.
Well, I don't know when that happened because first off, Leslie and I haven't come up with any plan. Those plans are suggested by neighbors and whatever. So let's just, we did not.
No, I'm not pointing any finger at any individual, Bill. I'm just saying that what I need to have is the people out there have an agreement with what you want me to recommend on behalf of the town to have happen. That's my, I don't have a dog in this fight.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. And,
So-
it's been our stance that, at one point somebody, Rob said, well, what do the neighbors, what do the abutters want? Well, none of them are going to be happy as it affects their property. That's just common sense.
Yeah, and the fact is you also need to know that we are not going to be putting in a sidewalk.
Right. Oh, and that's understandable. And so the main thing is what can be legally done within the layout to provide safety for pedestrians, regardless of what the abutters like.
No, and that's what I want. I want from you and Leslie to come back to me with something that you think the community out there is going to be comfortable with, so I can make a recommendation so that we create a win-win for the community out there, addressing the concerns of the traffic, but also addressing the concerns of the problems and the concerns of the retail establishment that has created many of these problems.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Ken. And by the way, if you let me know if there are particular items you want to deal with, I'll put it earlier on the agenda so you don't have to sit through. Anyway, so just let me know. And again, to address Phil's question in terms of how these projects get considered, I think the fact that Roads and Right-of-Way Committee, we keep a projects list on each of our agendas, and by having them there, I think that sort of brings us forward to it. I try to make sure that we touch on items if there's any important developments on them at our monthly meeting and so on. And so it does take a while, unfortunately, but we're working with municipalities. The town has an awful lot of stuff on their plate right now. And I think as long as we can stay in the queue, so to speak, that's how we do it.
And, yeah, and having Ken around is certainly a help. It's a big deal.
Exactly. Good. Okay, is there anything else to come before the committee this afternoon?
Are we on old and new right now, Alan? What are we on?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just asking, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I've lost control of that.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I have one thing I wanted to bring up, just not sure if it's old business. It's actually old existing, I guess.
Yeah, go for it.
Wynn Street. So just Ken being on here, it's important. So, I was talking with what's his name the other day over there, and oh my God, you know who I'm talking about that lives over there. Talking about the one-way, Dick Arnold, talking about the one-way stuff and things like that. Alan.
Oh,
This is 20 years we've been talking about Wynn Street, right?
George Snell.
Yes, I want to bring that up. That's why I'm, getting to that at the same time, Ed. He is actually in favor of making it one way coming in, which I didn't know, and it kind of made me feel a little bit more positive about future plans for the section from Hummock Pond Road, Milk Street to Vestal. I'm strictly talking about that, Alan, not the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
The smallest part of the road is two-way, and the biggest part should be one-way. Isn't that crazy? So anyway, with what's going on with the Snells, even though I don't know everything, I know that there's going to be some buildable lots along the road. I'm assuming. It's all in R20. We need to keep, bump this up a notch as far as what we want, the safety issue. I talked to the new owner of Miller's House, and they're great people. You may or may not know who those people are. If you're a sports fan, you should know who they are. And I talked to her at her house about a month ago about that this spot has been a concern for a long time as far as safety, pulling out onto Milk Street, can't see to the left. It's safer in the dark than it is in the daylight. So, I'm just bringing this up only because this is something that it's going to start to, something's going to happen here, and we need to make sure that we know what we're doing when the opportunity is there. That's all.
Correct.
So just for something to bring back to the table a little bit.
Yeah, no, that's
this is Lee. It sounds like an agenda item is to review the takings list.
well, particularly on Wynn Street, because that is a key connector between the Hummock Pond and the Nantucket bike path. And
Yeah, that's right.
So there's a real opportunity here. And we know that something is going to happen there, particularly when the Snell subdivision, my understanding is that they want to keep significant portion of it in conservation. There are three, I think there are three children that'll be making decisions about the property. They've decided to do it in just 3 lots and that sort of thing. So anyway, we will definitely keep an eye on Wind Street because that is an important connector.
Yeah.
Anything else, Nat?
One more thing, I was up at Old Farm Road and the posts that are there for the sort of pedestrian bicycle easement access thing, whatever we did there.
What's the road again?
When you go up to Chicken Hill.
Oh, Chicken Hill, okay.
Yeah, Old Farm Road is technically the name now, Alan. So have you seen the post? It looks good, how they've set that up.
Woodland.
I don't know who did that. Was that the town itself? Was that the neighbors? Was that done on, who actually came up with the way that is set up there so that cars don't go any further, but bikes and people can?
That was I believe the DPW that did that. Now, you're not talking about Farm View or whatever they're calling it no, you're talking about the one that comes down directly onto Joy Street.
Correct.
I have noticed.
I'm talking about up on the top at the highest point where it goes into Mill Hill. That's right.
Yep. I did notice that last time I was up there, that those posts were there, and
so yeah,
I assumed that it was.
It looks really good, except for one thing. And I was wondering, Alan, if this is something we can do. I don't know if it's legal, if they don't want to see it, but there's no engraving public way in those posts. I'm not sure if that's appropriate. I'm not sure if that is something that,
Yeah,
before those property owners get a foothold in that area up there and
Exactly.
start finding something to complain about,
Yeah.
because that'll happen within 5 years, is to get that engraving done if we could. I know that Neil does that stuff remotely.
We do have posts that say public footpath, and we have public way and public footpath.
I'm talking about the granite posts that are there. It's just something that came to my mind. I had to park over there for a while, and I looked at it,
Right.
and it's beautiful, but it doesn't say public way or public access or, the typical things that we have, here in the Nantucket in these spots. I thought that would be something worth taking a look at to make it really look like Nantucket,
Okay, I believe that when Kara, she's the one who cleared that out that way. I believe that it is public, but I'll have to double check that, make sure it's public way.
Well, that's true too. See, that's what I mean. I don't know if it's legally the same criteria as it is when we do it in the other places.
Right. If it's not, then we can put that on our takings list, and we do have public way granite monuments. Yes, Ken?
If that's the new subdivision that was built on the top, again, at next Thursday's meeting, we will be considering a gift of all of the road infrastructure that's been built to the town from the developer.
Oh, great.
It's just a thought.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you, Ken, for that. It's not anything, it's nice to see that. It's a tradition. We've gone from the old triangular cement with the rebar sticking out, Alan, and your tenure here is we've gone to the fluffier granite, and it looks pretty good up there, I have to say.
Yeah, good.
So, thank you.
Okay, is there anything else to come before the committee this afternoon? Yes, Bill?
Quick question, and maybe Ken can help. I asked Alan, and he checked his memory banks, and I've been looking. Ames Ave and Mass Ave. I can't find first of all, from what I understand, we only have 2 lists of accepted roads. We got the ones when Nate was born, the 1799 roads, and we have the 1975 roads. But what list do we have that's keeping track of roads taken since then? For example, Ames and Mass Ave. So I went back and tried to scope it just on the Google. I haven't been able to find it. And then I was going to go through the Inky archives to see if I could find something. But so the first question is, when were those taken? And then the second question is, are we running a list now of new roads that get accepted?
The answer to that is that I don't know, but what I do is I check with the town clerk, who has a list of all of the roads that the town owns and when they were acquired. In fact, I was just speaking to Nancy Holmes about it today, and that is a project that they're going to be starting, a mapping project with respect to indicating all of the streets and roads, who owns them, and the information with respect to them. But basically, when you go into the town clerk's office, they have a file that has a card with respect to each of the roads on the island, and whether or not it is town-owned, and if so, when it was acquired and under what conditions it was acquired.
Okay, I'll follow up on that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else to come before the committee this afternoon? Seeing none, I declare we are at the end of our agenda and the meeting is adjourned. Great.
you,
Thank
Alan.
you all very much for your patience and participation. So thank you.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes, indeed.
We'll see you all.
Thank you.
We'll see
Thank
you
you.
all, as it were, anon.
Anon, right, on February 16th.
Thank